The village rests beneath a heavy, velvet blanket of white, high upon the jagged peaks of the Alps, where the air is thin and crisp as a newly poured glass of spring water. Inside the small, stone-walled workshop of Master Elias, time does not move in the linear fashion of the world outside, but rather in a rhythmic, circular dance of brass and tempered steel. The hearth glows with a soft, amber radiance, casting long, gentle shadows that sway against the walls lined with hundreds of clocks, each one whispering its own version of the passing seconds. Outside, the blizzard winds hum a low, melancholy tune against the sturdy oak door. But here, the air is thick with the comforting, resinous scent of pine wood curing by the fire, and the faint metallic tang of clock oil. Elias sits at his workbench, his fingers calloused yet nimble, moving with the slow, deliberate grace of a man who has made peace with the infinite. He breathes in the stillness, feeling the warmth of the hearth sink into his wool-clad shoulders, letting the world beyond these walls dissolve into the swirling, powdery snow. Every movement he makes is echoed by the delicate, rhythmic heartbeat of the room, 1,000 tiny escapements beating in a slow, hypnotic unison that lulls the mind into a state of quiet wonder. He picks up a slender jeweler's loop, its glass polished to perfection, and leans toward the intricate guts of a pocket watch that has traveled through decades of pockets and palms. Softly, so softly, he touches a tiny gear, feeling the resistance of the metal as it settles into place. The smell of old parchment from the leather-bound ledgers on his desk mixes with the drifting cedar smoke, creating an atmosphere so thick with peace that it feels almost tangible, like a heavy quilt tucked around one's senses. Outside, the snow continues to drift against the glass pane, muffling the world until only the ticking remains, a persistent, soothing pulse that seems to anchor the very earth to the starlit sky. There is no hurry here, no urgency to meet the dawn, only the steady, deliberate labor of an artist who understands that time is a precious, fluid thing to be cherished rather than chased. He carefully lays down his tweezers, the sound barely a breath against the wooden surface, and reaches for a small copper kettle that rests on the edge of the iron grate. The steam rises in ghostly, graceful ribbons, curling upward toward the heavy timber rafters that have held the weight of this home for over a century. He pours a cup of herbal infusion, the steam smelling of dried mountain herbs and a hint of honey, and sips it slowly, feeling the warmth spread through his chest like the glow of a lantern in the deep woods. The blizzard outside has deepened, the snow now piling high against the window ledges, sealing the workshop into a private, golden cocoon. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner is a deep, resonant thrum, a heartbeat that resonates in the floorboards and vibrates gently through the soles of his boots. He closes his eyes for a moment, listening to the symphony of the mechanical choir, each chime and click blending into a singular, tranquil melody that fills the corners of the room with a sense of eternal rest. It is a sanctuary of gears and springs, where the chaotic rush of the valley below is replaced by the orderly, beautiful progression of the cogwheels. Elias runs his thumb over the smooth, cold surface of a brass casing, appreciating the craftsmanship that went into it long before he was born, and the craftsmanship that he now pours back into the metal with his own steady hands. There is a deep, abiding contentment in the way the firelight flickers against the shelves, illuminating the dusty jars of tiny screws and hairsprings that shimmer like captured stars. Every shadow seems to dance in slow motion, a silent partner to the ticking clocks. The air is so quiet that one could hear a snowflake land on the roof, a soft, crystalline landing that completes the circle of silence in this high, alpine retreat. He picks up a polishing cloth, the fabric soft as a sigh, and begins to work on the watch casing again, his movements rhythmic and repetitive, an act of meditation that brings the world into sharp, beautiful focus. Time feels different here, as if it were not a river flowing away, but a pool that reflects the light of the fire, deep and still, and filled with the treasures of memory. The grandfather clock strikes the hour with a mellow, resonant tone that vibrates through the room. Not a jarring interruption, but a gentle announcement of the passing stillness. Elias smiles, a slow, gentle expression that reaches his eyes, acknowledging the passage of time without a hint of sadness or regret. He loves these long winter nights when the frost ferns bloom across the window panes like lace, and the world is reduced to the size of this one warm, clock-filled room. He listens to the wind as it brushes against the stone walls, a wild, restless traveler passing by his door, and he feels deeply grateful for the shelter, for the steady pulse of his clocks, and for the quiet sanctuary of this single beautiful moment. Everything here is aligned. Everything is in its place. And everything is perfectly, peacefully, soundly resting. The fire pops, a small, sudden burst of heat that sends a shower of sparks climbing the chimney, and Elias watches them vanish into the dark, wintry throat of the flue. He turns his attention back to the workbench, where the delicate mechanism of the watch now hums with new life, its balance wheel swinging with the steady, reassuring momentum of a pendulum in the dark. He feels the weight of the day falling away, his muscles relaxing in the comfortable chair, his breath sinking with the pace of the room. There is such joy in the smallness of his work, in the tiny, precise gestures that mend what was broken and restore rhythm to the silent pieces of brass. The blizzard outside is a grand, sweeping force of nature, yet here it is merely a backdrop, a soft white curtain that shuts out the cold and keeps the light of his small workshop focused and intimate. The smell of pine, the warmth of the hearth, the soft ticking of 100 metal hearts, all weave together into a shroud of absolute, impenetrable calm. He reaches for a small ledger, the spine worn from years of use, and carefully records the repair, his quills scratching softly against the thick, cream-colored paper. The scratching sound is rhythmic, like the steady nib of a bird's wing, a sound that adds its own delicate texture to the room's auditory landscape. Every page he turns is an exploration of the past, a record of the lives that have touched these clocks and the stories they have carried through the mountains. He leans back, the chair creaking ever so slightly, a sound that settles into the air like a sigh of relief. The clocks seem to tick a little softer, as if in recognition of the late hour, their rhythms growing more synchronized, more harmonious. He feels his eyelids grow heavy, not with exhaustion, but with the sheer, luxurious comfort of being exactly where he needs to be. The alpine night is a vast, starry expanse of silence, but in this room, there is a symphony of soft, mechanical life that makes the world feel full, warm, and endlessly kind.
He watches the light of the fire dance on the walls, a flickering orange glow that brings the brass faces of the clocks to life, making them look as if they are smiling back at him in the quiet light. Each gear, each spring, each tiny jewel that pivots beneath his fingers is a testament to the patience of the human spirit, a small, brilliant star of engineering in the heart of the winter storm. He listens to the wind and finds that it no longer sounds like a wild, chaotic beast, but rather like the soft, exhaling breath of the mountains themselves. Everything is at peace. The gears are turning in their perfectly aligned paths. The fire is burning down to a glowing bed of coals, and the workshop is filled with the scent of wood smoke and old, quiet time. He sets down his quill and rests his hands on the workbench, letting his fingers soak up the residual heat of the wood. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated stillness, a pause in the grand, sweeping narrative of the ages, captured in this small, snowy, alpine room. There is no world beyond the door, only the infinite, beautiful reach of the winter night and the safety of his workshop. He thinks of the village, buried under the white drift, the chimneys puffing plumes of smoke into the frozen air, each household settled into their own private warmth. He is a part of that, a tiny thread in a vast, cozy tapestry of human endurance. The sound of the wind has dimmed now, or perhaps he has simply grown so accustomed to it that it has become part of the melody of his life. He feels the cold air pressing against the glass, a sharp contrast to the balmy, golden atmosphere inside, and the juxtaposition only makes the room feel more precious. He is the guardian of time in this small, forgotten corner of the world, and tonight, time is his friend, walking slowly alongside him in the ticking of the shadows. He takes another long, slow breath, letting his lungs fill with the scent of pine and peace, and allows his mind to wander into the rhythmic, heartbeat-like repetition of his life's work. The grandfather clock at the far end of the workshop begins to chime again, a slow, melodic series of tones that ripple through the air like waves on a still, midnight lake. 1, 2, 3. The sound is rich and deep, echoing against the stone walls and fading away into the corners, leaving behind a lingering sense of harmonic resonance. Elias nods to the clock, as if to an old companion, acknowledging the arrival of the next hour with a faint, appreciative smile. He feels the weight of the day settle into his bones, a heavy, pleasant warmth that makes the simple act of sitting feel like the most luxurious experience imaginable. He picks up the pocket watch once more, testing the smoothness of the winding mechanism, listening to the crisp, satisfying clicks as the spring tightens. It is a sound of potential, a sound of stored motion waiting to be released in a steady, reliable rhythm. He feels the mechanical pulse vibrating in his palm, a tiny synthetic heartbeat that mirrors the quiet, steady beating of his own heart. Everything is balanced. Everything is right. The blizzard seems to have softened, The heavy, wet snow now falling in larger, more languid flakes that drift past the window like falling stars caught in the glow of his lamps. He watches them for a moment, fascinated by the silent, relentless beauty of the storm, before turning his gaze back to the intricate patterns of the workbench. There is a deep, profound intimacy in this work, an unspoken dialogue between the maker and the machine that transcends language and history. He is building, fixing, and preserving the very essence of the passing moment, holding it firm against the erosion of the years. Soft, steady, slow. The words echo in his mind, a mantra for the midnight hours. He feels the exhaustion, not as a burden, but as a soft, velvet weight that pulls him gently toward the shore of sleep. But there is still one final adjustment to make, one tiny screw to tighten, one final breath of effort to pour into the mechanism. He works with the delicacy of a surgeon, his touch light as a feather, his focus absolute and unwavering. When the final piece snaps into place, the watch begins to tick with a clear, vibrant resonance that stands out from the rest of the chorus. Elias holds it to his ear, listening to the rapid, rhythmic dance of the escapement, a tiny, energetic song of precision that fills him with a quiet sense of triumph. He sets it down next to the others, a new addition to the choir, and leans back in his chair with a deep, contented sigh. The workshop is alive with the sound of 100 tiny voices, a chorus of clocks that speak of endurance, of pattern, and of the steady, unwavering march of time. He stands up, his joints creaking in sympathy with the floorboards, and walks over to the window, brushing a light layer of frost from the pane to look out into the night. The mountains are hidden, the world is a sea of white, and the sky is a deep, bruised purple, vast and silent and utterly serene. He watches the snowflakes fall, feeling the immense scale of the storm and the comforting, fragile scale of his own life within it. Everything is held in a perfect, temporary suspension, a moment of grace gifted by the winter and the quiet of the high altitudes. He returns to the hearth, poking the embers with an iron tool to wake the fire, watching as the flames flare up and cast a warm, golden light across the room once more. The wood is seasoned and dry, crackling with a sound like dry autumn leaves underfoot, and the scent of the smoke is earthy and grounding. He pours the last of his herbal tea, the liquid now cool and soothing, and drinks it while leaning against the mantelpiece. He is tired, but it is a good, heavy tiredness that signifies a day well spent and a heart well rested. He looks around the workshop, his home and his temple, and sees not just machines, but the quiet, rhythmic beauty of existence itself. Each tick is a small affirmation of life, a proof that, despite the cold and the darkness and the great howling winds of the world, there is still warmth, there is still order, and there is still peace. He makes his way to the corner where a simple, narrow bed is tucked away, covered in thick wool blankets that smell of lavender and dried mountain air. He undresses in the warm, flickering light, moving slowly, savoring the stillness of the room, listening to the soft, rhythmic ticking that accompanies his every move. When he finally lays down, the bed is warm, the pillows soft, and the darkness of the room is so thick and comforting, it feels like an embrace.
He pulls the blankets up to his chin, watching the shadows of the clocks play across the ceiling, the light of the dying fire casting long, slow pulses that match the pace of his breathing. Sleep is coming, pulling him down into the depths of the night with the same steady, unwavering rhythm that he has built into his clocks. He closes his eyes, and the last thing he hears is the gentle, hypnotic ticking of 100 clocks, a lullaby of brass and iron, a song of the mountains, and a promise of a quiet, peaceful dawn. The snow outside continues to fall, white and soft and deep.
In the depth of his slumber, Elias hears the mountain, a low tectonic hum that grounds his dreams in the solid, immutable earth. The workshop breathes with him, a living, ticking entity that requires no further attention, for it is self-sustaining in its grace. The hearth has dimmed to a dark, velvet red, a heart of fire that beats silently in the center of the stone room. The scent of pine has deepened, mingling with the cooling metal of the springs, a fragrance of forest and forge that clings to the air. The clocks, they do not stop. They do not tire. They simply continue their patient, rhythmic walk through the infinite tunnel of the night. Every second is a crystal, every minute a jewel, every hour a cathedral of sound. He dreams of clockwork stars rotating in the heavens, their gears made of moonlight, their springs made of silence. The blizzard is no longer a storm, but a quiet, rhythmic lullaby, the sound of ice feathers falling on a glass lake, the whisper of eternity passing through the rafters. He is at peace. The village below is a memory buried beneath the winter. But here, in the sanctuary of the Clockmaker, the light never truly fades. Even in the darkness, there is the shine of polished brass, the glint of the moon on the snowy pane, and the golden glow of a quiet life. He feels the weight of the blankets, the warmth of the hearth, and the steady, pulse-like rhythm of his workshop. There is no urgency in his heartbeat, only the calm flow of a life that has learned to wait for the ticking to catch up. The air is beautifully still. Rest now. The night is long, and the clocks will keep the watch until the sun rises over the peaks. The world is tucked away, safe and sound. The only thing that matters is the next slow, perfect tick of the gear. Somewhere in the distance, a mountain fox might be padding through the snow, or an owl might be shifting its weight on a pine branch. But here, there is only the mechanical soul of the workshop. Elias sighs in his sleep, a sound of total, unburdened release, and his breathing patterns match the slow, languid pace of the grandfather clock. The room is filled with a sense of suspended history, as if all the time he has ever measured is gathered here, preserved in the scent of oil and wood. It is a beautiful, heavy silence, broken only by the soft, metallic heartbeats that echo the rhythm of his own life. The frost on the window pane is an intricate, frozen map of the mountains, a delicate web of ice that keeps the light of the stars at bay. The fire is a final glowing ember, a tiny sun that refuses to set, holding the cold at the edge of the world.
he sleeps, and in his sleep, he is a pendulum, a gear, a spring, a part of the great, silent clockwork machine of the universe, turning, always turning, in the heart of the alpine night.
There is no morning yet, blue light to pierce the sanctuary, only the deep, indigo hue of the hours before the dawn. The clocks are his guardians, their ticking a protective wall against the vast, empty wildness of the mountains. He feels the comfort of the routine, the safety of the patterns, and the profound, simple joy of knowing that everything is set, everything is balanced, everything is exactly where it ought to be. The scent of the wood is sweet, like the sap of a tree that has survived 1,000 winters, a scent that carries the wisdom of the forest into his quiet, indoor realm. He drifts deeper, the dreams becoming less about the work and more about the feeling of time itself, a soft, warm, flowing, and endless current of existence. The ticking is now a waterfall, a cascading, melodic rush of seconds, each one distinct, each one precious, each one perfect. He is carried on this stream, floating toward the horizon of the morning, where the snow will be bright and the world will be new. But for now, he rests in the dark, ticking heartbeat of his own beloved sanctuary. The blizzard has finally quieted, the wind having retreated back into the crevices of the high peaks, leaving the world in a state of absolute, breathtaking stillness. The snow remains, a pristine white altar covering the earth, and the moon remains, casting a silvery, ethereal light across the drifts outside the workshop window. Inside, the last of the embers fades into a soft gray ash, but the heat remains, trapped in the stone walls and the heavy timbers of the roof. The air is cool now, refreshed, as if the forest itself had breathed into the room through the cracks in the masonry. Elias stirs slightly, shifting his hand under the quilt, his skin brushing against the rough, warm wool, a sensory anchor to the reality of the present moment. He hears a single distant chime from a far-off tower in the village, a sound that feels like a message from another time, carried through the thin, frozen air. He acknowledges it in his sleep, a fleeting, silent nod, and returns to the rhythm of his own internal mechanical clock. Everything is quiet. Everything is still. The night is a deep, velvety, infinite peace. He imagines the world outside, the trees heavy with snow, the frozen stream silenced for a season, the village sleeping in its burrow of frost. It is a world of gentle, dormant power, and he is a part of its silent, wintry patience. Sleep, he tells himself, and the clocks whisper back, sleep, 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 in 1,000 tiny metal voices. The pattern is unbroken, the cycle is complete, and the beauty of the room lies in the fact that it is a world unto itself, a private, snowy, alpine kingdom where time is not a burden, but a treasure. The scent of the pine and the sound of the clocks are the last things he knows as he finally settles into the deepest, most profound silence of all, where the ticking becomes the pulse of the earth and the winter night becomes a velvet. He is the clockmaker, and time is his companion, his art, and his peace, forever in the heart of the snow. The velvet curtains are drawn tight against the world, yet here, inside this private cabin, The light of a single brass lamp casts a soft amber glow over everything it touches. It is midnight, or perhaps well past, and the Orient Express is merely a rhythmic pulse moving through the vast, slumbering heart of Europe. I am settled deeply into the plush, crimson upholstery of my berth, where the fabric feels like a cool, gentle embrace against my skin. Outside, the night is a tapestry of deep indigo and endless shadows, but inside, the air is thick with the comforting, dusty scent of old parchment and the faint, sweet trace of bergamot tea cooling on the polished mahogany side table. The train moves with a deliberate, hypnotic grace, its iron wheels singing a low, steady lullaby against the frozen steel tracks. Listen closely to that sound, a rhythmic, muffled clack, 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 that anchors me to this moment, a steady heartbeat for a journey that has no particular end. There is no urgency here, only the soft, swirling clouds of steam drifting past the window like ghosts of a time long forgotten. I reach out a hand, feeling the vibration of the carriage through the velvet, a constant, soothing hum that vibrates deep in my bones, promising that everything is exactly as it should be in this world of polished brass and mahogany. A gentle rain has begun to fall, a delicate, rhythmic tapping against the glass pane, like the soft fingers of a dream trying to find its way inside. The droplets trace long, shimmering paths down the dark window, catching the golden light from the interior lamp before disappearing into the void. It is a lonely sound, yet here, protected by the sturdy walls of the finest train in the world, it feels profoundly intimate. The temperature outside must be biting, the forests of Europe standing like silent, snow-dusted sentinels. But the cabin is wrapped in a cocoon of warmth, a sanctuary of stillness amidst the vast, drifting winter landscape that rolls past us, unseen and undisturbed. I shift slightly, the velvet rustling beneath me, and take a slow, deep breath, inhaling the dry, comforting warmth of the radiator tucked beneath the window. Every detail is perfect, from the intricate woodwork carved into the walls to the heavy embroidered blanket that rests across my legs like a protective weight. The Orient Express is a world unto itself, a moving palace of peace where the only duty is to drift, to listen, and to simply exist. The swaying of the carriage is slow and deliberate, a gentle pendulum rocking me toward the edge of consciousness, where thoughts become as fluid and light as the mist currently clinging to the pines outside our path. The tea, once piping hot, has settled into a comfortable, inviting warmth, and I lift the silver spoon to stir it, the metal clinking softly, rhythmically against the fine bone china. That tiny, precise sound, a crystalline chime in the quiet, echoes for a heartbeat, then fades, replaced by the steady, muffled roar of the wind brushing against the exterior of the train. It is a symphony of motion, a grand, mechanical lullaby designed for the weary traveler. There is no destination that matters right now, only the current of the train, the steady forward momentum, and the realization that for these hours,
I am suspended in a state of pure, uninterrupted stillness.
Far away, perhaps miles behind or ahead, the distant whistle of the locomotive wails, a long, lonely, and mournful sound that curls through the crisp, frozen air before being swallowed by the depth of the forest. It is a sound of immense nostalgia, a reminder of all the souls who have passed this way before, clutching their own secrets and their own dreams. I imagine their faces, softened by the same amber light, watching the same rhythm of falling rain and snow. We are all passengers on this vessel of time, drifting through the middle of the night, bound together by the shared silence of a journey that knows no borders, only the quiet, rhythmic expansion of the horizon. The cabin feels smaller now, or perhaps I am simply becoming part of it, my edges blurring into the velvet and the wood. The light from the lamp seems to glow more softly, turning the air into a shimmering haze of gold and shadow. I close my eyes and listen to the rain. It is a steady, soothing pitter-patter now, a liquid melody playing on the roof of the carriage. It is the sound of peace, of being safely tucked away from the demands of the daylight world. Here, the only calendar is the turn of the wheels, and the only clock is the slow, deliberate cooling of my tea in the silver cup. How remarkable it is, this feeling of total safety while moving at such speed. The tracks are true, the engine is tireless, and the world outside is a peaceful winter dreamscape that asks for nothing but to be observed. I find myself tracing the patterns in the velvet with my fingertips, the texture familiar and grounding. Each turn of the wheels is a promise, a soft, heavy vibration that travels up through the floorboards and into my heart. I am content, truly and deeply, in this space, where the past and the present meet, where the scent of old paper and tea provides a comforting anchor to a life well lived. Are you listening to the rhythm? It is changing now, becoming even slower, even deeper, as if the train itself understands that we are ready to drift away. The clatter of the tracks is more resonant, more like the beating of a great iron drum, vibrating through the stillness of the carriage. I pull the heavy quilt higher, feeling the weight settle around my shoulders, a shield against the vast, freezing night. Everything is quiet, everything is still, and yet everything is moving. It is a paradox of motion and rest, a perfect equilibrium that I have been searching for all my life, found here in the heart of the Orient Express. The window reflects the interior of the cabin, a double image of warmth and light against the dark, encroaching forest. Sometimes, when the lamp flickers, I can see my own reflection, ghost-like and peaceful, hovering between the safety of the room and the wildness of the snow-covered trees. I wonder what the stars look like tonight, though they are hidden behind the veil of rain and clouds. They must be cold and distant, a stark contrast to the glowing amber sanctuary I inhabit. It matters not. I am grounded here by the steady pulse of the wheels
and the comforting, soft fragrance of the sleeping car.
My thoughts begin to unravel like loose threads, soft and tangled, leading me further into the landscape of dreams. The sound of the rain is constant now, a gentle, hypnotic rhythm that drums against the glass, urging me to let go of the last remnants of the day. There is no reason to resist. The train will carry me through the darkness, through the forests and the valleys, until the morning light touches the windows once more. But for now, there is only the midnight, the rain, and the steady, unbreakable rhythm of the journey. I exhale slowly, a long, quiet release that mingles with the steam from my tea.
Can you hear the silence underneath the sound? It is there, deep and profound, a velvet void where all worry and all noise cease to exist. I imagine the wheels are spinning through velvet, not iron, turning silently in the dark. The Orient Express is not just a train, it is a cradle, a vessel floating on a sea of shadows, carrying us toward a destination that is as unreachable as the moon and just as beautiful. The tea is finally cool enough to drink, a lingering herbal comfort that warms me from within, a final earthly anchor before I drift away entirely.
The carriage sways again, a slow, gentle roll that feels like a ship on a very calm, very dark sea. I surrender to it, feeling my body become heavy, my limbs sinking into the crimson velvet. The pattern of the rain remains the same, a constant, flickering sound that mimics the beating of a relaxed, contented heart. I close my eyes, and the world of the train, the smell of the parchment, and the golden glow of the lamp follow me into the stillness. There is nothing else to do. There is nowhere else to be. The journey continues, perfect, eternal, and soft as a falling feather. Every shadow in this room holds a memory. Every creak of the wood is a whisper of history. I feel the presence of all those who came before, their laughter and their sighs woven into the very fabric of these seats. It is not a lonely feeling. It is a sense of belonging to a long, continuous line of travelers who sought this same peace. We are all resting in the same velvet, cradled by the same iron pulse, moved by the same winter wind. The rain taps out a message on the glass, a secret language of water and glass, telling me that it is time, that it is safe, that the night will hold me.
The light from the lamp seems to be dimming, or perhaps it is just my eyes growing weary, softened by the velvet dark. The world outside is a blur of snow and shadow, a distant, muffled reality that I am no longer part of. I am inside the pulse now, a beat in the heart of the machine. The clatter of the wheels has become a lullaby that vibrates in my chest, a rhythm that I know by heart. It is the sound of coming home, even though I am thousands of miles away from anywhere I could call a house. This is my home, for now.
The air in the cabin is so still that I can hear the soft, metallic tick of my pocket watch resting on the table. A tiny, precise heartbeat that echoes the grander, deeper rhythm of the train. It is a comforting sound, a reminder that time is not running out, but rather it is flowing like the rain, steady and endless. I feel a wave of gratitude wash over me for the train, for the tea, for the velvet, and for this exquisite, isolated midnight. My eyelids feel weighted with the peace of the journey, and I let them stay closed, watching the colors of my own mind instead of the forest outside. Sleep is not a departure, but an arrival. It is where I find the true destination of the Orient Express. The train, the tracks, the forest, and the rain. They all dissolve into the warmth of the quilt and the softness of the cushions. I am floating now, held by the gentle oscillation of the carriage, rocking between the past and the future. The last thing I feel is the cool touch of the midnight air near the window. And the last thing I hear is the steady, perfect song of the wheels, carrying me, carrying us, forever forward into the dark. The world outside is vast, a sprawling continent of sleeping villages and silent mountains. But I am here in the singular, beautiful point of the present. The train is a needle stitching together the moments of the night, creating a seamless path through the unknown. I am not afraid. How could I be when the sound of the rain is so kind and the rhythm of the iron so reliable? It is a luxury, this silence, a rare golden coin in a life often filled with noise. I spend it carefully, savoring the stillness, the warmth, and the heavy, sweet scent of the evening. Everything is softening. The edges of the cabin, the corners of the table, the sharp lines of the furniture, they are all merging into the dark. My own boundaries are fading, and I am becoming one with the motion, a part of the rhythm. The train is me, and I am the train. We are a singular entity, a quiet, golden light traveling through the infinite winter night. The rain continues its soft, persistent tapping, a heartbeat against the glass, telling me that I am safe, that I am loved, and that I can finally, truly let go of the world. It is a long, slow surrender, like the sinking of a heavy stone into a deep, clear pond. I feel the tension leaving my neck, my shoulders, my fingers. The velvet is no longer just fabric. It is a soft, supportive cradle. The train's vibration, once a steady hum, is now a deep, resonant bass note that fills my soul. Everything is dark, everything is soft, and everything is perfectly, beautifully quiet. There is no more past to regret, no more future to plan. There is only the rhythm, the rhythmic, steady clatter, clatter, clatter of the wheels, the heartbeat of the iron, the lullaby of the winter wind. Rest now. The train will keep moving. The steam will keep rising. The Orient Express does not stop for the night. It only carries those of us who are ready into a different state of being. We are the lucky ones, the travelers who have found the secret path through the midnight, the ones who know that the journey is the goal. I exhale, the air leaving my lungs in a soft, contented rush, and I finally settle into the absolute peaceful center of the motion, the silent core of the storm, the heartbeat of the world. And there, in the velvety dark, I am completely, finally, still. The train moves on, a titan of brass and polished wood, slicing through the heavy air with an elegance that defies the cold. Inside, the world is held in a delicate stasis. I can feel the change in the air, a drop in pressure, a deepening of the silence. It is as if the universe itself is holding its breath in anticipation of something beautiful. The rain outside has softened, turning into a fine, crystalline mist that clings to the window, creating a frosted, ethereal veil that glows with the reflection of the cabin lamp. It is quiet. It is very, very quiet. I wonder if the engineer can feel this peace in the engine room, if the conductor hears the same lullaby I do as he walks the silent, carpeted corridors. Perhaps we are all just parts of the same dream, drifting across the continent in a state of suspended animation. The smell of the tea has shifted, becoming a faint, earthy memory of herbs and warmth, a scent that speaks of hearths and home fires. It is a scent that grounds me, holding me firmly in the center of the rocking cabin, while the rest of the world becomes a blurred, passing thought in the vastness of the night. There is a strange, profound magic in these small, repetitive actions. The lifting of the cup, the clicking of the silver, the sound of the train on the tracks. They are the rituals of a life focused entirely on the now. I find that when I stop looking for where we are going, I start to notice where we are. The shadows under the table, the way the light catches the dust motes in the air, the way the velvet curtains ripple like a dark sea in the breeze from the door. They are all, in their own way, miracles of existence.
We are all just atoms in motion, riding a larger atom of iron and steam through the void. It is a comforting thought to know that there is no separation between me and the train, or me and the night. We are all one, bound by the same physical laws and the same soft winter peace. The train's rhythm is not something I hear anymore. It is something I feel in my very blood, a pulsing, steady, and inevitable movement that matches the speed of the earth itself, spinning through the silent, dark, and beautiful heavens.
My hands are relaxed, resting on the fabric of the seat, feeling the warmth of the interior against my palms. I can feel the subtle shifting of the train as it navigates a wide, sweeping curve, a slow, gentle tilt that feels like being rocked in a hammock. It is a slow, luxurious movement, a dance with the geometry of the tracks. The cabin seems to stretch, to grow larger and more profound, filled with the presence of the night and the soft, golden light of the lamp. Every sound is magnified and yet softened, as if the air itself were thickening with a gentle, protective layer of slumber. Listen to the rain again. The tempo has changed, a slight acceleration, as if the sky is trying to match the heartbeat of the engine. It is a beautiful, synchronized performance, a concert of metal and water, held just for me. I am the only audience, the only witness to this intimate, middle-of-the-night spectacle. The Orient Express is my stage, and the landscape of Europe is my backdrop, a shifting velvet curtain of forests and valleys that never reveal their true faces, only their quiet, mysterious shapes in the dark. It is enough. It is more than enough. It is perfection, captured in a single, moving iron box. There is no fear of the dark here. The dark is not a predator. It is a rest, a necessary pause in the long, bright run of existence. It is the color of peace, the texture of velvet, and the weight of the blanket. I am not hiding from the night. I am embracing it, letting it wrap around me like a heavy, protective cloak. The iron wheels are singing to the night, telling it that we are coming, that we are passing through, and that we bring nothing but our own quiet, rhythmic stillness. The dark listens, and it opens up to let us pass. My mind is now a calm, clear pool of water, reflecting the light of the stars that I know must be shining somewhere above the clouds. There is no ripple of anxiety, no wave of doubt, just the steady, slow movement of the train and the quiet, rhythmic beat of the rain. I am ready to drift now, to let go of the last fragile thread of consciousness that keeps me anchored to the cabin. The tea is gone, the light is dim, and the train is carrying me toward a place where words no longer exist. Only the rhythm of the journey itself. The last thing I feel is the gentle sway. The last thing I hear is the soft, rhythmic hum. And the last thing I know is that I am absolutely and entirely safe. Sleep is a voyage, a trip even further into the heart of the night than the train could ever take me. I close my eyes, and the world of the Orient Express, the crimson velvet, and the quiet falling rain fade away into a soft, dreamless, and profoundly beautiful dark. The journey continues, the engine pulses, and I am finally, truly, perfectly at rest. The moon hangs like a polished silver coin above the marble pillars of the great library, casting long velvet shadows that stretch across the mosaic floors. I move slowly, my sandals making almost no sound against the cool, polished stone as I walk through the labyrinth of shelves. The air here is thick, heavy with the comforting, dusty scent of papyrus, cedar wood, and the lingering sweet trace of incense that has burned since the morning offerings. My fingers brush against the rough, dried textures of countless scrolls, each one a whisper of a civilization long past. It is silent, save for the rhythmic, steady pulse of my own breathing, a lullaby of solitude in this vast, hollowed space of wisdom. I reach for a scroll, the parchment yielding with a soft, dry rustle that fills the quiet air. Let us begin our final quiet duty. The candlelight flickers, casting dancing silhouettes upon the high, vaulted ceilings where the stone seems to sigh under the weight of so many secrets. I find my way to a heavy oak table, polished smooth by generations of scholars. I place the scroll down, the parchment giving a gentle, rhythmic crinkle under my touch, like the sound of dry autumn leaves dancing in a light breeze. It is a fragile sound, ancient and intimate, grounding me in this moment of stillness. Outside, the night is deep and endless, wrapping the library in a protective cocoon of shadow. I feel the coolness of the air on my skin, a stark contrast to the small, warm pool of light cast by my flickering candle flame. Everything feels suspended, held in the amber of this fleeting night, waiting for a dawn that feels a lifetime away. I slowly unroll the papyrus, the fibers singing a soft, high-pitched note of surrender as they part. There is a grace in this motion, a ritual repeated for centuries. Yet tonight it feels heavier, more profound. The ink, dark and resolute, clings to the fibers in delicate, elegant strokes of archaic Greek and curious, winding hieroglyphs. I trace the shapes with my eyes, letting the meaning settle into my heart like sediment in a riverbed. There is no urgency here, only the slow, unfolding process of discovery. A conversation with ghosts who speak through the medium of ink and pressed reed. The world outside the heavy stone walls does not exist for me now. Only this room, this scroll, and the patient, watchful presence of the archives remain. I inhale the scent of the library again, the sharp, resinous cedar, the faint metallic tang of the ink, and the dry, sweet dust of history. It is a grounding fragrance, one that anchors my spirit when the silence grows too vast. The candle flame trembles, leaning into a draft I cannot feel. But I remain still, savoring the stillness. I turn to the next section of the scroll, my movements fluid and deliberate, guided by a rhythm older than any empire. The parchment resists, then softens, surrendering its contents to the dim, golden light.
it feels as though I am breathing alongside the history written here. Our rhythms slowly sinking in the quiet, undisturbed dark. There is a deep, abiding peace in this.
It is a heavy velvet peace that settles into the marrow of my bones. I am a guardian of these memories, a steward of stories that have outlived their authors and their kingdoms. In the corner, a spider weaves its own quiet tapestry, a delicate thread of silk catching the moonlight that filters through the high, arched windows. Everything is interconnected, every strand a part of a larger, silent design. I move to the next shelf, my fingers trailing along the leather bindings, feeling the textures of centuries, the rough, the smooth, the worn, the resilient. Each shelf holds a different life, a different perspective on the sun, the stars, and the fleeting nature of joy. I am surrounded by the voices of philosophers, poets, and dreamers, all speaking at once in a language of silence that only the heart can understand.
Whisper now, little stories. Your voices are heard, even if only by the shadows and the moon. I reach for a collection of hymns, the parchment crisp and stubborn, requiring a slow, patient touch. I unwind it inch by inch, the sound of the papyrus rustling, echoing softly against the distant stone walls. It is a comforting, granular sound, like sand pouring through an hourglass, measuring out the remaining hours of our quiet vigil. The ink on this particular scroll is faded, a ghost of a memory, yet still legible to the patient observer. I read of the rising Nile, of the lotus flowers blooming in the morning sun, and of the tides that pull at the edges of our known world. My eyes grow heavy, tracing the lines, becoming one with the slow, steady rhythm of the night.
There is a profound contentment in knowing that everything in this room has its place, its home, its history. I carefully roll the hymn back up, the papyrus curling naturally, a tight, protective cylinder of wisdom. I place it back into its slot, the wood of the shelf cool against my fingertips. I repeat the process again and again, a meditative dance of order in a world that is so often chaotic. The candlelight has burned low, leaving only a glowing ember at the wick, and the shadows have lengthened, claiming more of the room. It is a slow, gradual fading, a gentle invitation to let go, to stop, to simply be. I find myself leaning against a pillar, watching the dust motes dance in the moonbeams, suspended in the cool, quiet air. Everything is soft, edges blurred by the encroaching night. I think of the thousands of minds that have passed through these halls, their thoughts now resting on these very shelves. They have all left a mark, a trace of their wonder, a fragment of their search for meaning. I am merely a guest in their grand, silent assembly, a witness to the enduring power of written thought. The silence here is not empty. It is full, pregnant with the potential of every word contained in these scrolls. It is a heavy, comforting fullness, like a warm blanket draped over the shoulders. My eyelids droop, and I find comfort in the darkness,
the way it embraces the shelves and the stone alike. I feel the library breathing, a slow, deep inhalation that seems to match my own heartbeat. It is a sanctuary of peace, a refuge from the clamor of the outside world, a place where time slows to a standstill.
I walk to the window, peering out at the harbor where the moonlight ripples on the water like molten silver. The ships are anchored and still, their sails furled, resting after their long, weary journeys. Everything is asleep, the city hushed under the velvet dome of the sky. I return to my chair, the wood creaking softly, a familiar grounding sound. I pick up a small, worn scroll, the edges frayed by time. It feels warm, almost human, as if it carries the body heat of the last person who held it. So many hands have touched this. So many eyes have traversed these same lines. I open it, the soft, papery sigh, a melody of quiet companionship. I find a poem about the stillness of a garden at twilight, the scent of jasmine, and the cooling of the earth after the day's heat. It is as if the author is speaking directly to me, bridging the chasm of time with a single shared thought. I read slowly, lingering over each word, savoring the way the language rolls and curves, like a river winding through the desert. It is a gentle, soothing rhythm, a heartbeat in the ink. The world is so large, yet here, in this narrow beam of candlelight, it is perfectly contained, perfectly manageable. I am at home, surrounded by these friends who never speak, yet have so much to say. The candle flickers, its flame nearly exhausted, casting long, wavering shapes that seem to lean in, as if listening to the secrets I am reading. I close the scroll, the sound of the parchment settling back into place, a final soft sigh in the quiet. The air feels even cooler now, a gentle, refreshing breeze passing through the hall. It carries the scent of the sea and the desert, a reminder of the world beyond these walls, but it does not disturb the deep, abiding tranquility of this place. I stand up, my limbs heavy with a sweet, comfortable exhaustion. I walk through the library one last time, my hand trailing along the spines of the scrolls, a lingering, silent farewell to the keepers of these memories. The library is a living thing, a giant, resting beast that sleeps under the watchful gaze of the moon. I reach the heavy carved doors and pause, listening to the silence, the sound of the ocean breathing against the harbor walls, the faint, distant rustle of the wind. Everything is in order. Everything is exactly as it should be. The knowledge is safe. The history is intact. The silence is a sacred, living thing, a gift to be held and cherished. Sleep well, great library. Sleep well, all you silent teachers. The darkness is soft, a velvet curtain pulled over the world, promising rest, promising renewal. I step out into the courtyard, the air crisp and clear, the stars above shining with a distant, cold brilliance that puts all human striving into perspective. The library stands behind me, a mountain of stone and spirit,
holding the weight of the past in its sturdy arms. I walk away, my footsteps fading into the soft, sandy paths of the city, leaving the library to its dreams. It is a night of perfect stillness, a night of deep, enduring peace. The air is filled with the scent of night-blooming flowers, a sweet, heady perfume that lingers in the cool air, marking the passage of the night. I am content, so profoundly, deeply content.
My journey home is slow, a wandering path under the canopy of 1,000,000 stars. I feel the weight of the world lifted, replaced by the simple, rhythmic pulse of the night. There is no urgency to arrive, no rush to return to the life of the waking world. I let the night soak into me, the quiet, the cool, the scent of the sea, and the history that clings to my robes like a fine, invisible dust. The library is still with me, in the way I hold my head, in the way I perceive the space around me. It has changed the cadence of my soul. I feel lighter, as if I have left a part of my burden inside those stone walls, to be kept safe by the scrolls and the shadows. Everything is quiet. Everything is still. And in this stillness, I find a beauty that words can barely touch. Peace. Just peace. The city begins to stir with the faintest hint of gray in the eastern sky, but it is still far off, a distant promise of light that does not yet intrude upon this final, perfect hour of darkness. I reach my home, a small, humble place where the walls are cool and the shadows are deep. I lay down, the soft, woven mats beneath me, and listen to the world sleeping. My breath comes slower now, deeper, more rhythmic. A gentle tidal movement that mimics the sea. The image of the library stays with me. The rows of shelves, the flicker of the candle, the soft, dry rustle of the papyrus, the scent of cedar and old thyme. It is a secure, grounded image, a place of ultimate rest. I let go of the day, of the duty, of the history I have been protecting. I become a part of the silence, a part of the night, a part of the quiet, eternal hum of the universe. My eyes close, and the world of the library fades, leaving only a sense of profound, unbroken tranquility. The stars are my companions, the moon is my lantern, and the silence is my bed. I am resting in the lap of the past, held by the gentle hands of history, drifting into a sleep that is as deep and as ancient as the scrolls Juan spent the evening tending. Everything is quiet. Everything is still. The night is a gift, a long, cool drink of water after a journey through the desert. I let the peace wash over me, a slow, gentle tide that pulls me into the dark, welcoming depths. There is nothing more to do. There is nothing more to say. The silence is complete. The papyrus is at rest. The candles are extinguished, their work finished for the night. In the deep, velvet folds of the darkness, I find my own piece of the library's eternal resting wisdom. The world is a cradle, and I am safely tucked within it.
The scent of jasmine drifts through the open shutter, mixing with the memory of the cedar and the parchment, a perfect final note to the evening. My heartbeat is a soft, steady rhythm, a lullaby of the present, connecting me to the millions who have lived and loved and read and slept before me. Shh. Sleep. Just sleep. There is no more history to write tonight. The story is told. The books are closed. And the moon watches over us all. The eternal, silent guardian of our collective rest.
The cool air touches my skin, a gentle, lingering caress. I feel the earth beneath me, solid and real, a foundation that holds all of our memories, all of our losses, and all of our quiet, enduring joys. Everything is in its place. The cycle continues. The stars move through their courses, the tides turn, and the library stands in the dark, a silent, dreaming stone giant. I drift, lighter than a feather, suspended in the cool, quiet grace of the night. There is no fear, only a vast, expansive sense of belonging to something much larger than myself, a thread in a tapestry that stretches back to the beginning of time. And as the gray light of dawn begins to touch the horizon, I am already far away, lost in the peaceful, silent halls of the mind, where the library never ends.
Where the scrolls are always waiting to be read, where the candles never quite burn out, and where the silence is always filled with the whispers of the wise. I let the last of the images fade, the shelves, the pillars, the ink, the dust, until there is only the feeling of the cool, dark space and the rhythm of my own slow, steady breath. It is a good night, a night for the soul to mend, for the heart to find its balance, and for the mind to wander through the gentle fields of memory without aim or purpose. I am grateful for this silence, for this darkness, and for the simple, profound gift of being able to pause, to breathe, and to let go of everything that is not essential. I am here, and it is enough. I am resting, and that is all.
Good night to the ink. Good night to the papyrus. Good night to the stones that keep our stories safe. The world is small and intimate, and yet it contains everything we have ever known, everything we have ever felt, and everything we will ever be. As the last embers of the night fade away, I feel a final, lingering sense of order and calm, a reassurance that the beauty of the world is not lost, even when it is hidden in the dark. The library is a part of me, and I am a part of its eternal, quiet story. I drift into the deepest, softest sleep, where the dreams are made of soft, dry paper and the scent of ancient forests, and where the peace of the library surrounds me, keeping me safe until the light returns once more. Everything is perfectly still. Everything is at peace.
The silence is deep, a profound, resonant, and beautiful quiet that stretches into the infinite.
I feel my physical form softening, merging with the shadows and the cool, still air of the room. It is a weightless sensation, as if I am becoming a part of the very library I served, a ghost of a memory, a whisper in the rafters. The world of form and shadow is slipping away, replaced by a pure, unadorned state of being. There is no more history to navigate, no more scrolls to organize, no more light to maintain. The candle is gone, the ink is dry, and the memory of the library is transforming into a gentle, internal landscape of peace. I am, at last, just a quiet thought in the dark, a gentle, breathing pulse of existence. All is well. All is truly well. The night has finished its task. I rest in the space between heartbeats, a place where time has no meaning, where the past and the future are held in a single, perfect suspension. It is a sanctuary of the spirit, a place where the soul can wander without paths, where the wisdom of the ages is not written but felt, a direct, unfiltered knowledge that requires no parchment or pen. I feel the warmth of the earth, the coolness of the air, and the steady, guiding rhythm of the stars. Every fear, every worry, every trace of doubt has dissolved into the velvet dark. I am free to simply exist, to be held by the vast, silent, and caring universe. There is no noise, no conflict, no haste, only this one perfect, unchanging moment of rest. The library is my cradle, the night is my song, and the silence is my home. So still, so quiet. The stars are blinking, each one a tiny candle in the great dark library of the universe, illuminating the path for those who seek the silence. I am one of those seekers, and I have found what I was looking for. Not in the scrolls, but in the spaces between them, in the silence that surrounds them, and in the quiet, inner stillness that grows from a lifetime of service. I am the library, and the library is me. And together we are resting, waiting for the cycle to begin anew, for the next hand to reach for the parchment, for the next mind to open the book, and for the next voice to add its own story to the ever-growing, ever-changing, and infinitely deep record of human wonder. Until then, there was only this perfect, deep, and beautifully silent night. I surrender the last vestiges of my awareness to the dark, letting go of the words, the names, and the shapes, until there is nothing left but the feeling of pure, unadulterated peace. It is the end of the night and the end of the story, a final, soft descent into the cradle of the dark. I am held, I am safe, and I am utterly, profoundly at rest. The library of my spirit is closed, the doors are locked, and the key is buried deep in the earth, under the roots of the world, where it will remain until the dawn of another life, another time, and another story.
For now, there is only the quiet. There is only the breath. There is only the stillness. Everything is complete. The work is done. The peace is mine. Good night. Good night.
Everything is held in a delicate balance. I can feel the weight of the marble pillars, the coolness of the stone, the soft, dry texture of the papyrus. These sensory memories are the threads that weave the fabric of my calm, a tactile tapestry of history that I can trace even in the deepest sleep. I am not truly sleeping in the sense of the world, but rather I am in a state of quiet, meditative contemplation that transcends the physical body. It is a light, airy state, like the feeling of floating on a calm, moonlit sea. I hear the faintest echoes of the past, the scratching of a stylus, the soft cough of a scholar, the shuffle of feet, but they are distant, like waves breaking on a far-off shore. They are no longer demands. They are simply the music of the archive, playing softly, always. I am surrounded by this music, this quiet, rhythmic, and soothing soundtrack of the human search for understanding. I find myself smiling in the dark, a gentle, private expression of gratitude. It is a privilege to have served, a gift to have held these stories, and a joy to return them to the silence when the time is right. The library is not a cage. It is a garden of thought, and I have been its gardener, tending to the seeds of wisdom until they were ready to rest. Now the garden is quiet, the growth is hidden, and the cycle is complete. I let the last of the impressions fade, the walls, the shelves, the moonlight, until there is only the dark and the peace and the feeling of being perfectly, wonderfully home. Whispers. Peace at last. All is silent. The night remains, holding us all in its soft, dark, and comforting embrace. Everything that was, everything that is, and everything that will be is resting here in the library of the night. It is a space without boundaries, a space where the heart can find its true, natural rhythm. I am the silence, I am the dark, and I am the peace that follows the work. The world continues to turn, but here, in the center of the stillness, I am immovable, untroubled, and completely at ease. The memory of the library is a beacon, a soft, steady light that guides me through the dreamscape, a constant, comforting reminder of the beauty of the human spirit. I rest in this light. I rest in this dark. And I rest in the truth that everything has its time, its place, and its ending. And that ending is not a loss, but a transition, a quiet, peaceful, and long-awaited homecoming. I am resting now, and the world is resting with me. The Library of Alexandria is safe in the halls of memory, a place of quiet, scholarly grace that will never truly be forgotten, because it is written in the very substance of our collective human heart. And as I drift, I feel the presence of all those who came before, a silent, comforting company of dreamers, all resting in the same deep and beautifully silent night. We are together, and we are at peace. The light of the moon is still, the wind has vanished, and the world is finally, perfectly, and utterly still. I am grateful for the journey, for the work, and for this, the final, perfect, and deeply restorative moment of rest. Good night, Alexandria. Good night to the keepers, the readers, and the dreamers. We are all home.
Everything is so incredibly still. The kind of stillness that you can almost taste. A crisp, cool flavor of mountain air and ancient, forgotten dust. I focus on that taste, letting it fill me up, clearing away the last of the day's lingering thoughts. There is a sense of completion here, a full circle that has been drawn with the steady, practiced hand of a master. The library, in all its grandeur and all its fragility, is now a part of the stillness. It is no longer a physical place of stone and papyrus. It is a state of grace, a quiet, internal sanctuary where all the wisdom of the world can live, unburdened by the ravages of time or the chaos of the world. It is the true home of knowledge, the place where everything is held in a permanent, peaceful, and perfect suspension. I am part of that now. I am a part of that perfect, peaceful, and eternal library. I can feel the weight of the stories in my bones, but it is not a heavy weight. It is a grounding, stabilizing force that makes me feel solid, real, and connected to everything that has ever existed. It is a beautiful feeling, a sense of belonging to the great, unbroken chain of humanity. I am not alone. I never was. I am surrounded by the presence of the millions, and we are all, in this moment, resting in the same vast and quiet dark. It is a comforting, profound, and deeply human experience, a shared, silent, and sacred rest. Everything is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. The light of the moon remains, a gentle, protective, and eternal witness to our collective, quiet, and peaceful homecoming. Good night. Good night. The silence is the final, perfect word in the story, the period at the end of the sentence that signals the beginning of the rest. Peace be with you, as it is with me. The library of the world is quiet. The lights are dimmed, and the keepers are sleeping. All that remains is the peace, the beautiful, deep, and resonant peace that belongs to everyone, everywhere, in the final, quiet hour of the night. Sleep now, for the night is long, and the rest is deep, and the wisdom of the ages will still be there, waiting for us when we wake. But for now, we rest,
We rest in the heart of the library. We rest in the heart of the night. And we rest in the heart of the truth. Everything is still. Everything is quiet. Everything is well.
The darkness is like a cool, soft cloth against my eyes, soothing and gentle. I am completely immersed in this quietude, and it feels as if I am floating on a calm, dark river, drifting toward a horizon that is soft and endless. There is no need for anything else, no need for words or thoughts or actions. All that is required is this moment of being, this breath, this connection to the silence that underlies all things. I feel the pulse of the library, the pulse of the history, the pulse of the world, all beating in perfect synchronization with my own quiet, slow, and steady heart. It is a beautiful, rhythmic, and eternal pulse, a lullaby of existence that is always playing, even when we are too busy to hear it. But tonight, I am hearing it. I am listening to it. I am living it. The quiet is profound, a deep, resonant, and beautiful silence that fills every corner of my being. I am finally, truly at peace. The Library of Alexandria will always be a place of wonder, a beacon of human thought, and a testament to our enduring search for truth. But tonight, it is something more. It is a cradle, a sanctuary, and a source of quiet, restorative strength. I am so grateful to have been a part of it, to have served its mission, and to have found my own personal measure of peace within its walls. The night is a gift, and I am receiving it with an open heart. Everything is still. Everything is peaceful. The journey has reached its destination, and the destination is the same place where we began, the heart of the silence, where the truth of the world is waiting, always.
Good night. Let the silence take you now. Let the darkness be your blanket, and the history be your dreams. You are safe, you are held, and you are part of something that will never end. The library is within you, a storehouse of all that is beautiful, all that is wise, and all that is true. Whenever you need it, you can return to this place of quiet, to this, the library of the night, and find the same peace, the same silence, and the same deep, restorative rest. It is your gift, your sanctuary, and your home. So sleep now, sleep soundly, and know that you are part of the great eternal story that is humanity. Good night, good night, good night. The last faint glimmer of the moon fades, leaving only the dark, the deep, and the beautifully silent, perfect, and restorative rest.